Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of our building our electric sitting standing desk. If you haven't checked out the first video, it'll be right up here. And let's get into it. Today's episode, we're going to be finishing up a couple mistakes we made in the last episode, then prepping the surface of the desk, and then finally we're going to get all the electrical work together, get it mounted, get the whole desk mounted on the wall, and hopefully it'll all come together. Looking back at the last episode, there's a couple things we need to change, and things that I just want to modify a little bit from this build. First off, the total depth of the desk itself is sitting right around 8 3/4. And as you can see from my list of pieces of wood, we actually needed these to be 1 by 3 by 10 pieces on the sides so that it would have enough space for the computer dimensions. Instead of moving just the top portion of the desk anymore, I kind of want to change it to be moving up and down the entire desk. This will keep everything steady, and then I also won't have to have extra length of cord for all my peripherals on my desk. Changing this means that the folding out portion of the desk will actually have to be mounted to the front of the desk face. This will be a little less aesthetically pleasing, but I think it'll be okay. This is a quick little glimpse back at what we currently have and what we need to change. While we're watching me take this apart, if you guys ever want to hang out live, ask questions, see some gameplay of various games, I'm live over on twitch.tv/gmxsniper, and you can also follow me on Twitter. Now I'm using a joint jig to drill holes to fasten the top of the desk. Here on the back side of the frame, you can see that I also used the joiner kit to secure the front-facing frame as well. From here, we can mount the brackets that'll hold up the desk at a 90-degree angle and also fold flat against it. For all these parts, there will be a link in the description below for what I've used. Here I'm just making sure everything's flat, flush, and that the hinges work properly and unlatch correctly as well. Now we need to prep the surface for accepting a stain. What I'm going to first start off with is a 120 grit, then I'm going to make my way up to a 220, and then finish off with a 400 grit. After you're done sanding, just feel over it, make sure there's no giant bumps, any large divots that you need to sand out. Then I wipe it clean with a microfiber cloth. And then after this, took a vacuum and cleaned up all the little tiny particles. Our wood should be nice and prepped to accept the stain now. I chose the gray stain mainly because I liked the neutral color of it, and I really liked how it worked with the oak and showed all the grains. When applying stain, you want to have a good even coat over all of it, and at the very end, wait about 5-10 minutes, and then you'll wipe it off with a clean rag. After the application of the stain, I also put on 1 coat of polyurethane. I don't get a video of it, but be sure that it is there. So this is perfect timing, because as we were waiting for the stain to dry, I want to get ahead and move my old desk away. And we happened to shatter the previous desktop, so perfect timing for all this. Up on screen now is essentially all the wiring we did for this configuration. The link for all the parts is in the video description below, but essentially what we're going to be doing is connecting the power supply to the wall. Then from the power supply, we're going to be going to our 3-way rocker switch, which is also going to connect to the linear actuators. And then we're going to run the linear actuators in parallel. That makes them have the same amperage, and with the same amount of resistance roughly from all the wires and everything like that, should ensure them to be roughly going about the same speed. Because what you don't want is your linear actuators to be going at different speeds, moving up one side of your desk higher than the other. So before installing it, we want to do a little test run, make sure everything's going to connect. So we loosely jumper on all the cables, tie them to the linear actuators, and attach the power supply to the wall. As you can see, works up, works down. Think we're in business. From here we mounted all the rails and provisions for the desk. Just in little quick notes on the screen here, make sure if you're mounting the studs, you're using some wood screws, make sure it goes deep down in there. And if you don't have a stud, make sure you have at least a 70 to 90 pound anchor. You don't want your desk falling off the wall, that'd be bad juju. After all the rails and everything were set up, we mounted all the electrical devices, as well as the linear actuator and the slots we made in the last episode. Now I'm just doing a couple test runs, making sure that it operates up and down, make sure I have enough slack in all the lines, and just making sure everything else is good to go. We then placed the desktop into the desk, mounted all the peripherals for the computer, and tested it out, made sure it all worked. And here's our lovely before and after. It looks a lot cleaner, mounts more flush to the wall, and just gives it a nicer appearance overall. A couple things different I would do for our next build, if I was to repeat this build at all. I'd probably wrap the sides with some mesh, that way I could get some good filtration, make sure not a lot of dust is coming through the sides of the box. I might have used some thin wood or some aluminum to cover the linear actuators, make it a little neater in appearance. I also might have made a box for a DC battery. That way I didn't have to have the whole system attached to a plug, freeing up some space for my two desktops attaching to my power supply. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video. If you guys ever want to catch me live, I'm on Twitch Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Maybe Sundays. We'll see about that, but links are in the description below. You can also follow me on Twitter. Hope you guys have a great day. Knocked him. The other one's on church. Yeah.
Good kills, man.
Knocked one.
Nice.
Both in.